Welcome to Keystone Connect Week 10.
What
That's the right order.
Double digits.
Connecting friends to faith, culture, and good vibes. We want to thrive and not just survive this quarantine. That's why we're here, because we don't know how long we're going to have to be here. You might as well be thriving. I'm here with the Midwest's top color commentator, Ryan King.
That's a high bar.
It is.
I'm flattered by that. That is so nice of you to say. And I am glad that I can just add some prismatic effects to this podcast.
It's just the Midwest, though. It's not necessarily
you know what? The Midwest
nation.
is big enough for me. You know, everybody that eats corn is listening to this podcast.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'll take it.
Because, I mean, I got a lot of corny jokes, so it would make sense.
That's probably why we are trending with farmers right now.
Yes. So, Ryan, this is week 10. What has been your favorite part of Keystone Connect?
Favorite part of Keystone Connect? You know, Eric, I believe you and I, when we get to sit down, we're like a good Oreo cookie. You know, we're the nice chocolate crispy crunch cookie on the outside. But I feel like the interviews, the nice creamy center with all of our Keystone staff and just learning more about people in our community and in our staff, and even we had the interview with the Other Way Ministry director. I love those. I feel like it gives us a glimpse under the hood, behind the locker, over the hill, through the woods, all the way to grandmother's house.
Yep.
That is metaphor right there. That is my favorite part of the Oreo
And it's
cookie.
at grandma's house that we feel connected.
Yes,
at home.
Exactly.
Great.
What about you? What has been
Brought it
your
home.
favorite part of it?
It kind of goes back to a quote I talked about in, I don't know, week 3 or week 4. Jimmy V's quote of, if you think, you cry, you laugh in a day, that's a full day, that's a heck of a day. Do that every day of the week, it's going to be something special. So I really enjoy how we can think and laugh, and we haven't really cried, but you've probably cried internally from
I have cried
some of my jokes.
Quite often, whether that's from joy or sorrow, you all
Sorrow.
can decide. It's sorrow because it's real. It's the real Canadian grief
From
and
the heart,
sadness.
man. Yeah.
I feel like I'm dying inside, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It hurts well.
It hurts so good. So today we have some behind-the-scene outtakes from Volunteer Appreciation Drive-Thru Dogs this past Friday.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Perfect weather, great to see everyone. Brady's talking about extraterrestrial life. Yeah, crazy.
Dude, I feel like Brady wants aliens to exist.
He does. You know he's like a Star Trek, Star Wars guy, so he's like all about it. But we'll see.
I'm excited to see.
We'll see.
That'll be cool.
Yep. We have a cool, good news story. One that happened in South Africa as well. That one happened right here in Grand Rapids.
Ooh.
And as usual, we have our recommendation roundup. And we have some music that'll like hit you in the nostalgia feels.
Ooh, dude, you got it packed in today.
Right.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So what are we hitting? What is our first thing up on the docket? What is a docket, by the way?
I thought it was like when like that file, like that folder that you used to take to your, what I called the docket was I would take to like 4th grade, where it opens up and you can slide like the different sheets of paper in the certain slots, and then you put it in your backpack, so it's like plastic. And then like I label it like language arts, social studies. That was my docket.
I always thought first up on the docket was like horse racing. I don't know why.
That too. Yo, please comment in the description. What is a
Question
docket?
of the day.
Yeah.
So no matter what a docket is, what is first up on the docket?
So I think we're going to go right to Brady's interview, and I wanted to tell the people listening and watching, this kind of came from, I was listening to talk radio the past couple weeks. The Navy released, I think a couple weeks ago, footage of UFO. And if you're going to release something about UFO, this would be the timing if you wanted, everyone to be all about it. Because what else is there to do,
I'm disappointed they didn't release it last summer when the Area 51 raid meme was alive and well. If you guys didn't know, last summer, all over the internet was this thing that was going to happen where people were going to raid Area 51. It was awesome. That was the time.
Yeah.
But you know what?
That was the time.
They're like, we're going to let this pan out. We don't want to enrage them.
Yeah.
Now UFOs are real.
That's fair. Yeah, so I've just heard all these news stories about it, and I've never thought, what does the Bible have to say about it, and how should we approach that with our faith? So let's cue in my interview with Brady. So I am here with Pastor Brady, and typically I have, a table so my legs are underneath there. You'll have to excuse my dirty mud. I was just mountain biking.
Can't believe you made it through makeup.
I know, right? So, Brady, first off, do you believe in UFOs, extraterrestrials, other life out there?
Well, I mean, I grew up on a steady diet of both Star Wars and Star Trek, so I'm going to have to go with the big maybe.
Classic answer right there from Brady.
Still waiting for warp drive, but that's all right.
If someone were to come up to you and start talking to you about aliens, how would you approach that conversation from a biblical perspective and bringing your faith into that?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. Like, I mean, that question has been asked sort of in humor before to me, but I have had a few people, especially the Star Trek fans, that have asked it like seriously, like, what do you think about aliens? Does the Bible speak anything about aliens?
Yeah.
And the short answer is that the Bible really doesn't speak about aliens at all. The Bible emerged in the Hebrew culture and contains the earliest accounts are sort of how life got going on planet Earth, and everything is sort of directed at God's efforts on Earth. And so if there are other places where there's life, the Bible really doesn't speak to that. The ancient Hebrew people believed, along with ancient Greeks and everyone else, that the kind of at the center of the universe was the Earth. And as that cosmology has opened up, we do believe that God created the heavens and the earth, which would include the universe.
Yeah.
But really don't have much more detail than that as far as life on other planets. So it's definitely possible, but
Yeah, because I wonder too, like, it's really easy for us to limit our understanding of just life here on Earth. But if God is omnipotent and all-powerful, I would say it's possible.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and how cool would it be that this is even a bigger love story outside of just Earth, and how it could look in a different universe and a different culture. And yeah, it's pretty, I think, exciting to think about, in the sense of the universe is consistently expanding, you know, and growing, and how, what do you know about, you know, because I feel like you would know one of these stats of as far as how big the universe is and how small the Earth is within part of that, like within the solar system.
Oh yeah, I mean, the numbers are out there and they make no sense. It's like when someone tells you there's 14 bagillion grains of sand, and you're just like, oh, 14 bagillion, that's interesting. So the universe is so large, it is beyond our ability to even comprehend its size.
Yeah.
And so what's also interesting is that you have a situation where life has been so, the circumstances necessary for life have been so incredibly fine-tuned to have life on Earth during this period of time. There is some interesting statistical data that suggests that it seriously could be the whole universe exists and is lifeless simply so life can happen on Earth. It's that unusual that all of those things necessary for carbon-based life would come together, and that we would have life anywhere. So you could really, but then if you have a designer behind it and life is seeded at a couple of places, that's certainly possible as well.
And I love that narrative as well, the fact that everything has to be absolutely perfect and fine-tuned in order for us to just live and breathe and for life to happen, and how much God loves us to create something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want a good time in your quarantine, extra time, just go to Wikipedia and look up science of fine tuning. It will blow your mind.
The science of fine tuning.
Science
so
of fine tuning. That's all the things that have to be fine tuned in order for life to happen here and now. Temperature, pressure.
Yeah.
Then it goes way above my pay grade. But yeah, it's crazy. And so when you run the data, you know, say what are the odds that all of those things would be perfect at the same place at, you know, a certain period of time, and the odds are another one of those numbers that make no sense.
1 in 14 bagillion.
Yeah, you might as well make up a word and just be like, whoa. And so it's one of those times that whenever I go down that rabbit hole in studying, I end up realizing how easy it is to reduce God to something I can get my mind around.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, he is so much more,
right,
and so much bigger, and so beyond. And so it's actually a fairly healthy exercise, I think, for us just to consider, the psalmist writes, when I consider your heavens, the work of your hands, what is man that you're mindful of him?
Right.
And so I think that is a really healthy part of a faith walk.
Love that.
Yeah.
Expanding the mind a little bit and just wondering. We've talked about wonder before on this podcast, and when you have this sense that, you know, you have the universe and then you just bring it all down to us, and it explains how vast God is and how big he is, and yet how intimate and personal he is at the same time.
Absolutely.
A pretty powerful story. And can tell us a lot about his love for us.
Absolutely. So, in answer to your question, do I believe there's aliens? Maybe. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We'll see.
Right.
We never know with these videos. They
That's
said they
right.
were bouncing around like ping pong balls. So
Yeah.
I thought that was something like I've seen in a movie, and that's
Yeah.
it. So
Oh,
who knows?
sure.
But
Oh,
that
sure.
was an interview with someone. It's like anyone can say anything.
Oh, sure.
So.
Well, I think it is. And I mentioned to you, this is kind of a fun PS for the Alien fan club. The fact that we're broadcasting these messages into the cosmos to say, hey, we're here, we're here, we're here. I read a guy one time that said, anybody who would receive our message and have the ability to come and visit us is probably way more technically advanced than we are, as is to say, is very much more technically advanced than
Yes.
we are, and probably would want to take over our planet. So there is an argument that even if they're out there somewhere, we maybe should not mention that we're here. That's just a thought to leave you with.
We are back from our interview with Brady, and honestly, I was hoping he would give me a yes/no if he believed aliens existed, because I think because he loves Back to the Future, Star Wars,
He
all
believes.
that stuff, I think he believes.
He believes in his heart,
I think
if
he's
anything.
a Trekkie all the way through. Maybe he is. I don't know if he's a Trekkie, but when it comes to faith, I still think weighting the line between yes and no, black and white, can be pretty smart, and just to engage in a dialogue. So I liked it. I liked it.
I rode my bike just before this, and it's a Trek bike, so you can call me a Trekkie as well. You trekking with me? We'll see if Ryan will continue to trek with me, because I have a bunch of jokes and puns that I would love to share with you, and we'll see how Ryan feels about them. So we are going to describe them. If you are listening, you can kind of figure it out based on our descriptions. I don't know how good they'll be, but we'll pull it up on the visuals if you are on the YouTube. So this first one is this guy on the phone. He's saying, my wife is going into labor. What should I do? Someone at the hospital answers and says, is this her first child? When he comes back, he goes, no, this is her husband.
This reminds me of the SpongeBob joke when they call Patrick and he's working at the Krusty Krab. And the person on the phone's like, is this the Krusty Krab? In which he responds, no, this is Patrick.
And then he gets really mad, right?
Yeah, and then he gets super mad. So
That's great.
I'm a fan of that one.
All right.
I'm a fan of that one.
So next one is an airline stewardess saying, coffee or tea? To which someone responds, coffee. And she goes, wrong, it's tea. It's just continuing to pour the tea.
That's because she's like, guess what it is? Guess what it is?
Yep.
You didn't guess what it is. You ordered, you pleb.
Right.
All right, hit me with the next one.
That joke, we had that down to a T, I think, though. So the next one, it is a 20-something wife, girlfriend, whatever, saying, please, could you go to the shop and get a carton of milk, which I don't know who calls it the shop, but whatever.
The shop.
If they have avocados, get 6. So he comes back with 6 cartons of milk and says, they have avocados.
This is what I love this joke.
This
actually. I think
one's
this
good.
one's hilarious because it's like, if they have avocados, get 6.
6. I wonder how realistic it is him holding all 6 of those. That he seems like ultimate grocery shopper in that picture.
He looks real proud of himself.
Yeah, he does.
I like
I
it.
would be proud. I'd be proud of myself if I did that. Next one looks like a job interview, and they're dressed up in their suit, tie, shirt, all that. And the boss goes, he's in his 50-somethings, got a little touch of gray action going on, interviewing a 30-something guy, saying, "Can you perform under pressure?" To which the guy responds, "No, but I can try Bohemian Rhapsody."
I like it.
Ding
That's a
ding
good
ding
one.
ding ding ding.
See, that's also the thing that doesn't make sense. Bohemian Rhapsody is going to be way harder than Under Pressure. Under Pressure is a pretty simple song.
Here's the thing about this one though. In this, did he perform under pressure by answering it like
Oh,
about
that's
Bohemian
meta,
Rhapsody?
man. I like
yeah,
that.
that's deep. That's like Inception stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next one. This next one's good.
This next one I
Have
think
you
is my
heard
favorite.
anything about the Hornets or what are they?
Oh yeah, Brady mentioned them.
The murder hornets, the ones that can kill you apparently. Then this joke's for you.
Yes. It's the guy at, a department store, maybe Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, saying, "Is this good for wasps?" Holding it up to the attendant, asking if this wasp killer is good for wasps. And she says, "No, it kills them," with a very pleasant smile on
Very
her face.
pleasant. I like that one. All right, cool. Hit me with let's get one more good one in here.
Okay. We got to do this one, though. Guy at the library asks the librarian, do you have any books on turtles? She goes, hardback? He goes, yeah, with little heads.
Oh, man. These are good. This is your best joke section of all of the Keystone Connect.
Yep.
I'm
Really
glad that, yeah. I mean, some of your OGs are good, but
Right.
I like the wordplay.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the wordplay. All right, so talking about just high-quality jokes, we just hit you guys with some of them. Let's hear some high-quality good news. Let's put some smile on the faces and joy in the heart.
Yeah, high quality good news. So this one is from Good News. Rival gangs in Cape Town agreed to an unprecedented truce and together bring food to the poor. So South Africa has seen a 75% drop in violent crime during the coronavirus pandemic. Now, rival gang members in Cape Town are teaming up to collect and distribute food and essential goods to those in need. What we're seeing happen here is literally a miracle, Andy Steele-Smith, a pastor who works with gang members in the community, told BBC News. Before the pandemic, South Africa had some of the highest violent crime rates on the continent, but now new circumstances have created changes that are leading to a silver lining. The government has imposed some of the toughest quarantine rules in the world, including banning alcohol and cigarette sales. The economy has taken a beating, and the gang members were feeling the effects as much as anybody else. This is my favorite part. I got a phone call from two gang leaders, both saying, Andy, I've never asked you for anything, but we are starving, the Australian-born pastor told BBC News. I love this because, I don't know if you feel this in Anthem, but when your high schoolers or when your friends or when people are struggling and need to reach out, you want to be someone they call. And the fact that this pastor was the first guy that these gang members called, it was like their last ditch effort to just call him. I love that. And it said something to me about the trust that he has built with them in some way and how impactful he's been for the community there. So Andy hatched a plan that would not only meet the needs of the community in the moment, but also show these young people a new sense of purpose in the world. He asked members who would normally be trying to kill each other to work toward a common goal, providing food and vital supplies such as soap to those in need. Preston Jacobs, a member of the Americans gang, told the BBC, it feels nice to be doing something positive for the community. Now I see there are nice people also, and people want to love what we're doing now. Sansi Hassan of the Clever Kids gang expressed hope that the truce would become permanent, saying, if it can stay like this, then there will be no gang fight, he said, and every gang will agree with us.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a really out of the ordinary kind of cool thing that has happened amidst this hard and really difficult economic times.
Yeah, I really like that story. I think, again, I'm always impressed with when we hear gangs, we think, oh, like bad people that suck and that they just like violence and hurting people and territory and macho, like their macho masculine nature. But again, like I think we have to remember that so much people are driven into gangs by circumstance, to be protected, to make money, to make ends meet, you know. At least this is what I've been told, as I am not a gang member myself. Nobody would assume me as a gang member, which might be the best reason as to why somebody should hire me for their gang. But this is despite the point right now. Just the idea though that there's this stopping in the violence. There's this, again, the 75% of violence is down. There's a 75% drop in violence. Like that in and of itself is so cool. And then these people are like, man, like we're starving, we're struggling, we're in need. And then realizing, again, all people have this humble nature of when we're in need, we need help from people. Yeah. So I really like that story. That's super cool.
Yeah, another cool local story and we found this out through our volunteer appreciation event that we had. Jacob Knight did all our hot dog stands and brought his daughters who were showing us some of these things. They're called squirrel squatters. So there's little mini picnic tables that they put like corn on it and everything, and you could say it's during quarantine, but that's a separate conversation. And they sell these in order to go on their first mission trip. I was talking to Jacob, and he said they want to go on one next year, hopefully. They're relatively young. I don't know their ages, but it's Monroe and Bennett Knight that are doing them. And we're putting up a couple pictures now. And the best way, if you would like to buy one or to look at them, Jacob Knight's been posting them all over his Facebook page. I'll put his email as well as maybe just a link to his Facebook in the description. And they have a really cool bowl that they were doing. You know, they're putting fire on the wood. I don't even know what that's technically called, but these are
wood burning.
Wood
It's
burning.
actually literally just called wood burning.
There's always a moment in Keystone Connect where I look like an absolute buffoon, and this is one of them.
That's okay. That's okay.
They're doing a really cool thing, and all donations go to their first mission trip, which is awesome.
Be sure to check that out too, and you can be a part of Good News yourself, which is bringing some help to some girls that are looking to help the world.
Yeah,
so
and some
awesome.
food for some squirrels.
Some squirrels.
He just sent me a picture. There's like a buffet that they've provided. That's like a specialty.
Squirrel buffet.
Right
You know what squirrels don't need? A buffet.
That's
Squirrels
fair.
are little demon creatures.
Yeah.
But you know what?
They don't deserve anything. They
You
deserve
know
a
what?
BB
That's
gun.
okay. That's okay. As long as it's cute, it flies by.
Right.
Talking about cute, Eric.
Yes.
All right, so we're not talking about cute, but you got one more thing in our good news that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so it kind of dawned on me. It was so great to see people's faces at the volunteer appreciation, and we want to see your faces, people. So if you are doing anything good, if you're baking something for someone, you know, I was biking and I saw by the bike path just rocks that were painted, just encouraging things. Anything, we have volunteers at Sibley, we have the Keystone Face Mask Collaborative. There's so much going on. There's so many people doing good things. So we want to see either videos or pictures sent to us at nextsteps@keystonecc.org, or if you have any of the staff's contact information, you can just send it to them saying, hey, send this to Eric. Because I'm just going to make a short video just to see people's faces, to see people doing some good things during this time, and encourage other people to do the same. So it'd be great to see everyone, because we can't right now in the building, and this building is empty, and we miss you guys. So if you can send in any pictures or videos, just take it quickly and send it on over to nextsteps@keystonecc.org or a staff member that you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We would love to see you guys. But we'll take a picture. That'd be nice. So, and hopefully the next time that we see you guys, we can hopefully hear about some of the things that you've picked up from Keystone Connect in our, you ready for it? Recommendation Roundup. So we got some cool things coming up. You've got some music on the docket for us.
Yeah, so I mentioned it earlier about nostalgic tunes. My kind of glory days I'm defining as like middle school to high school, when that music just hits you in the feels. Maybe college too. So 90s, 2000s, I was listening to Green Day's old album. I was listening to Blink 182. I was listening to all these 90s songs, and I made a playlist. So my only encouragement is to take some time and look up some of those nostalgic tunes on Spotify and make your own playlist, because when I heard those, man, it felt so good.
Dude, yeah, I get that. I feel like I would love to hear your guys' different like nostalgic tunes, whether you want to comment below or whatever, because it'd be cool to hear like different ages, what like brings them back for me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in that punk thing, Yellow Cards, Ocean
Avenue,
yes. Blink, Green Day. I think even some of the adult contemporary like Matchbox 20.
That was one of them.
Yeah, Rob Thomas is in there. I'm thinking even some classic rock like Boston or Bruce Springsteen. Those take me back for sure. So
it's so, man, it just makes me smile thinking about the memories associated with them, you know.
Yeah.
Like all like driving with your friends and just blasting old school tunes.
Yeah, and I think there's something really cool. I feel like music, that's why I love music, and I always want to be listening to new stuff, is so that then like different songs have different associations, different playlists have the associations, and I'm going, man, I remember listening to this when, I mean, you and I were even just talking before about the different albums Blink 182 has come out with, and though they aren't necessarily albums of morality, I still associate different time periods of Blink 182 with different time periods in my life when I listen to those. And if you're looking for newer music, if you guys are looking for newer music, I've got a vinyl right here. This has been sitting on the table. If you guys don't know what it is, so the vinyl is an album by King's Kaleidoscope called Zeal. And this is one of my favorite albums. It's been on the Keystone Community Church playlist. Some of their songs have been, and it's a great album of faith. If you're looking for something new to listen to, this whole album is about how do we go from apathy in our faith, how do we go from a place of feeling unconnected to a place of zeal for God and excitement and energy. And the album is an incredible journey that explores that space. When it comes to worship music or Christian music, I think there can be some kind of bland stuff in there. But this group, I think, is one of the most incredible, just diverse groups. Their sound is unique, and it's a really cool album. Came out in 2019, so it's really quite new. You guys should check it out. It is so, so good.
Love it. What's kind of the genre and sound of it?
Honestly, they have a genre of their own. I mean,
awesome.
they dive into kind of a little bit indie rock. They go a little bit into like a little bit bigger band stuff with a couple of horn section type songs. I mean, they hit a little bit of the worship vibe. They hit a little bit of the hip hop vibe. They're their own sound, and I feel like that's always the mark of an incredible band, is when they're able to really put a staple on their sound. So it's really cool. I think it's music for all people.
Love it. A Netflix recommendation. Have you heard of Night on Earth?
I have not heard of that.
I recommended Our Planet and the Keystone Connect before. Those are amazing. I think there's like 8 episodes. They have some behind the scenes. It's basically Planet Earth, but like with better cameras and better video recorders. Night on Earth is like never before shot footage because they have cameras with like night vision. Oh. So it's all these animals that come out at night, that hunt at night, and really cool. It's PG. You see some predators and some hunting, so if you have a really young kid, they might get freaked out at that, but for the most part, really good. I watched the first episode of it last night. So it's called Night on Earth. I'll put the link in the description as well.
Yeah, I would love that. I love the idea of watching some of these nature-based like movies, videos, documentaries, because I feel like I'm not getting enough of it because I'm still trying to stay at home as much as I can, and I just want to be immersed in it. So be able to at least watch that. I think that's a really cool recommendation.
Speaking of being immersed, what can we immerse ourselves in when it comes to books these days?
Books these days, I didn't bring
That's a big book.
That's a big book, and it's the best book.
Right.
I didn't bring in like a non-Bible book, I didn't bring in a regular book. I brought my Bible in today. This is one of the ones I read from. B-I-B-L-E, Got my B-I-B-L-E. There was a song out there that was like,
I don't know what that is.
I don't even remember what was it. It was
the one
like
for me or something like that.
But I actually wanted to recommend for you guys at home, jumping into the Bible if you haven't had an opportunity, and a really cool spot. One of the books in the Old Testament, if you want to explore some of the books and the stories in the Old Testament, we just finished Esther in the Old Testament, which is a 10-chapter book. It's not too long, about kind of this traumatic time in Israelite history where the Israelites were under the rule of the Persian king, and there's all this drama, and Queen Esther who rises to power as a Jewish person, and it's just a really cool book, and we finished it with our students, and it's just a fun one to dive into, and I know for people they approach the Bible in different ways, but for me I always see it as a collection of stories that points us towards Jesus in some way. And for me, when I think of the Bible being the living word, what I mean is that when we interact with it, when we wrestle with it, when we dig into stories, whether it's New or Old Testament, and we allow it to rattle us a little bit, we think about it and we dwell on it, I think then it starts to change us, and that's where it comes to life. And that's what we've been exploring with our students. We do a Bible study every single morning with our students, and that was the book we just completed, and it's cool to hear what our students are learning from all the different stories that we're exploring together, the questions that come up, and just being real with scripture. And it's not just like accept this, but instead, what do you think about that? Mm-hmm. Why? And the book of Esther is cool because God isn't even mentioned. God's not even mentioned in it at all. And I think that's why is that book then included in the Bible if God's not mentioned? And if you read it, that's a question I have for you at home.
I appreciate that you dive into some Old Testament books with your students as well. A lot of times we just focus on the Gospels and the New Testament, which are amazing, but they're a little easier to comprehend than some of these Old Testament books. So if someone is to read Esther, what lens would you encourage them to view it through, or what was a big takeaway for you?
For that one, it's definitely it's interesting because they're telling the story of a holiday. So it's actually, they have a holiday called Purim, if I'm saying that right, and it's basically, why is this holiday? Why does this exist? Why do they celebrate it? Just like we tell the story of Easter. Yeah. So it's a tradition, it's a story. I think there's some level of history to it. But again, I think at the end of the story, you go, why is this important, and how do I apply this to my life? And I think that's where it's going to start to change you and change me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of the root of the word history? Because if you divide it, his story, it's God's story. You ever think about that? That is our recommendation roundup. All of our articles and everything we've talked about, I'm putting those important links in the description, so feel free to check those out. That's all on YouTube. And we are going to cue in our outtakes to roll it on home here.
Yeah, I'm excited. These are all the outtakes from the volunteer appreciation event. I think it just shows how fun Keystone is during a time that even is stressful. So, yeah.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, friends. Grace and peace. Week 10. Out.
Peace.
Hey.
Your approach here to telling people where to go?
Honestly, we got lane 1, 2, and 3, and I'm thinking, man, if we're supposed to be eating some hot dogs to these people, we gotta be windmilling them through, you know, getting that service going.
I had an incredible idea for this hot dog drive-through. It was going to be to have a big pen of dogs for people to just come and pet. It would make it so much better. Why don't they listen to me here? I think, geez, what has been your favorite part about quarantine? Your inner self. So we have 2 of us.
Dos mas.
Jason.
Hot dog. And he's a brat.
Yep.
You can tell because he has weenie hair.
Exactly.
Bloop. He has hot dog hair.
Bloop. Hey, what do you call a sweaty dog?
Hot dog.
Hot dog, of course. I thought I just came up with that, but I'm sure it's been told before. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's not a taco. You
Why?
have to starch both sides of a taco, and you starch both sides of a hot dog bun. But with just regular bread, you starch one side only.
And
a taco is just a Mexican sandwich.
wow.
Think about it, though. What is a taco?
I haven't thought much about it.
All right, go.
Have you ever been in New England and the top, instead of it's a different sort of cut of the bun, it's along the top instead of along the side? That's a whole different experience.
Yeah, so what is that called then?
I think it's a New England style bun.
New England style bun.
Yeah, New England has good buns.
Or on fire! The real question is, will they get something really spicy because they're really good at putting out fires in their mouth? Who knows? Kids and drinks. Do you ever give coffee to kids? You do? Okay, oh, hot cocoa. Okay, I was gonna say, clap to Abby because more power to those kids volunteers. Sometimes those tears and those Cheerios just get everywhere. Tears and cheers, baby, tears and cheers. There's lines and they're really patient people, so it works. You guys are nice people, right?
Hey, we're really nice.
They're really nice, yay! You choked to death on a hot dog that is natural selection and management is not responsible, thanks. Can you back up what management says about this?
Absolutely.
Hot dog!
Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggy dog.
That's the official hot dog.
I love guy. You don't love guy? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Hey, hey, hey.